Um, I first came to Midway Barber Shop some 20 years plus ago, um, and it's been my barber shop ever since. I grew up here, pretty much grew up here. Well, it's probably longer than 20 years, but I pretty much grew up here with Mr. Brown and uh, gentlemen used to cut over here, Miss Bell, and I remember all of them when I was growing up and how cordial they were, how they were real proud people, and how they instilled in us a lot of different things that they didn't realize they instilled in us. By being in a barber shop that was like a community center, or it's a certain type of appeal that it gave you, a sense of belonging somewhere. I think that black barbershops in general have lost a lot of that, but I think that that's something that we need to have. It's sort of like, if you will, a black person's oasis or country club. Mr. Brown has always been a model citizen, a model Christian, and it's really, really good for me as a youngster to see someone who actually lived up to the standards that they actually believe. He was always a Christian man. I don't know everything about him, but I know just from being around him, you could tell. And that's the spirit of this barbershop, and that's the thing that kept me coming back. It's been many years now, so now it's been about 7 or 8 years. Trav has been cutting my hair and doing a good job, and it still carried that same spirit that Mr. Brown brought into the barbershop. And that's the thing that causes the customers that come here at Midway. Just being real and being able to discuss or express themselves in a certain place, sort of like a spa, if you will. So I've been very fortunate to be a part of this barbershop, and to feel like I'm a part of this barbershop. And I know that it's a business, but it's something that means more than a business when you have certain role models, you have certain people around that you can connect with, especially when you can't connect really outside anywhere else. There's some place you could go and you can not only feel good about yourself, you can get a cut and you can learn something about yourself. So, but that's the most part. He is a really, really a model citizen, a model Christian, somebody that I look up to. He probably doesn't know it, because he's humble enough that even if you told him, he probably wouldn't accept it. But Ms. Bell, Mr. Brown, and now Travis, they've always been good to me. And
I've been for a long time. And a few years ago, he passed away, and now his wife is my business partner. And she's been a business partner almost 2 years now. And we've been getting along just fine. Therefore,
Today, Mr. Brown still works at Midway Barbershop every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, the loyal customers come to Midway to let the 81-year-old master barber cut their hair, share wisdom, and jokes.
And I was stationed here at Fort Bragg together. And I've always known him to be a philanthropist. He always trying to give back to the community. And that's something I appreciated about him. And then when I joined his church, I realized that he and I were going to the same church, and we become fast friends over a number of years. That's about it.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Mr. Brown, working in his barbershop, then owning his barbershop. I treat his barbershop, like it's his baby. His barbershop was his vision. If it wasn't for the strike on Fort Bragg, he probably would have never went and got Midway. So, being that, I own Midway, Mr. Brown blessed me with Midway, I make sure that I treat it the way that he treated. I make sure that I treat the customers the way he treated the customers. I try to keep the same atmosphere and the same flow that Mr. Brown had. One, is a formula that worked, and two, you don't want to get into a position where somebody bless you with something and then you just take it for granted and then it go down. You don't want the morale or the quality of service to drop down from manager to manager or from owner to owner.
Mr. Brown was a fine, upstanding man. I knew him when he first opened up his barber shop. We used to come in and he used to cut my boy's hair. And one day he tried to cut my boy's hair. I'm going to put scissors on his head, and my boy jumped out of the chair because Mr. Brown didn't know. But I've been in his barber shop for many a times. He's always had a pleasant disposition about him. I never seen him grouchy or angry or mean. I think he's a Christian type man with a lot of goodness in him. He might not be perfect, but he appears to be a nice fellow.
I'm here at Midway Barbershop, and this is one of my first barbershops that I came to when I was about 10 years old. And Mr. Brown was my first barber. And Mr. Brown used to be like a father figure to me. He had like several advice to give me, advice on marriage, also advice on just life and my career as a whole. And I like to thank Mr. Brown for that.
Well, I first met Mr. Brown in 1976. I came by, I couldn't find a good barber to get me a haircut, so somebody on Fort Bragg told me to go by Midway. I came by Midway, and Mr. Brown been cutting my hair ever since 1976. And this barbershop has been a legend in Fayetteville. It still is a legend. And some of the funny things is that people used to leave the Spectrum Club on Murchison Road at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, come over here and get in line to get their haircut. And on Saturday, it was hard to get a haircut here on Midway. I think one of the funniest things that ever happened here in Midway was a guy named Bobby coming here one day with a shotgun. And when Bobby turned that shotgun around, Bobby said, "Give me a cigarette." So everybody in the barber shop gave him a cigarette. And Mr. Brown said, "Bobby, get out of here with that shotgun." So Bobby left out. After Bobby left out, Mr. Brown said, "Whew, that was close." But it's been a pleasure coming to Midway. I will continue to come to Midway to the last day they closed the doors down. Now that all the old timers gone, the young group have come in. Travis, Hussein when he's here, and Linda doing braiding hair over there. So Midway is still moving on from the old generation to the new generation. So come on down, get your hair cut.